Welcome to the latest version of News for Nerds. I am Brian, your host, as always. Today, we are taking a look at the most recent stats. It is July right now. And in honor of barbecue, which is my favorite way to prepare meat, I have my big old meat fork here as my microphone holder. So without further ado, let's check out some market stats, shall we? One thing I want to point out here at the very beginning is a trend that I've been seeing locally, but also nationally. So we're going to go through some local market stats first for a couple of Hudson County neighborhoods that are interesting, have some highlights, have some changes, and we're going to see how that reflects what's going on nationally, because we are kind of a different area here, being Manhattan adjacent. We are, I feel, pretty insulated from a lot of the market shifts and the volatility in the real estate market in general, but we are seeing a few places right now and over the past couple months where inventory is rising. Prices still remain a little bit sticky in most of these areas, but a couple of things to watch out for, and I'll highlight these, is inventory rising, less sales and transactions happening. So longer days on market, less transactions actually closing, and more things coming to market. So inventory is actually building in these places, but prices for the most part have remained sticky in a lot of these. And then at the end, or towards the end, after we go over these Hudson County places, I'm going to share with you some real quick two charts of national real estate stats that show exactly reflects these two changes exactly, like the inventory rising and prices just now beginning to dip over the last week is when we've seen the change. So here we go. Let's get right into it. All right. So kicking off June market action with Hoboken, of course, my hometown here. So some highlights that I'm seeing in and around Hoboken. So single families have kind of continued their trend this year in June, but reflecting the whole year, where inventory is super low. That means not many listings coming on, and therefore not a lot of things selling. Average days on market decreased. Pretty much everything over here, percent change wise, has decreased here, except for the average price. And as you can see, the sweet spot for a lot of these single family homes, and again, these are like brownstones where you get the whole thing, not a condo. That's a second separate part of the market. 2.5 million is really kind of the sweet spot for a lot of these. There are certainly more every once in a while that you see between 3 and 4 and even over $5 million. Obviously, the buyer pool for those are a lot smaller, and those are really unique, but those are moving as well. In the condo market, contracts signed down 10%. So overall volume of transactions actually closing or about to close is going down. But a lot of these stats really staying sticky, holding firm for what they have been over the past couple months, and especially comparing year over year. And with the steady, slow median price range median price of those that closed steadily rising. So we will see, over the next couple months how tariffs and everything else that's very much out of our control, but affects the real estate market a lot, plays out. I think next month's stats and the stats that really come out in Q3 are going to paint a much more clear picture if this is really having any effect on the Hoboken condo market prices. Next up, this is downtown Jersey City. So some pretty loud stats here. Let's dive into that. All right, so this is where we start to see what I talked about at the top of the episode. So new listings overall up 33%. Average sold price actually up as well, but number of sales down 24%. Houses, not really going to read too much into this, just because new listings, even though it's down from 4, So you have to forgive me. I did not create these stats, but if you're following along on the top, sometimes the year switches at the top. So anyway, this is our current year on the left side now. Hoboken was on the right side. But new listings 4 as compared to 12 in those houses. So I'm going to kind of take that out. I think the overall stats here and the condo stats that you see below are really going to paint the picture more accurately. So average days on market have actually increased quite a bit, even though we're still at about a month. Asking price came down just a little bit off of what they were last year. Average sold price up a little bit. So the sale prices are kind of staying sticky here. But new listings, 46% increase. So again, we will see how this plays out over the rest of this month and Q3. If less contracts being signed, inventory rising is going to have any effect on the price. The Heights, also some pretty loud in-your-face stats here. These are some big jumps, especially in decreased sales. Sorry, decreased in sales and increased days on market. So overall, in my opinion, I feel like prices up here in the Heights have actually been reaching for a little while. Not really. Here we go. Number of sales down almost 30%. Number of contracts down almost 10%. New listings staying kind of firm here. Not much of a change, but average days on market really climbing. Percentage of asking price coming down a little bit, and even that average sold price coming down. So I've been saying it for a while, and I'll say it again. The Heights is a decent opportunity if you're looking to negotiate. Journal Square. Let's check this out really quick. Not a lot of action here. It's just not a lot of data to pull from, but let's dive into these numbers. So houses, just not a lot of listings coming out, half of what they were last year, but even then it was only 15. Now we're down to 8. But here we go. Average days on market going up to 36 days. Percentage of asking price coming down just a little bit from 99 down to 98. Sale price not moving at all. Number of sales went up a little bit, but number of contracts down 36%, and number of new listings up 71%. So even though we haven't seen those closing prices, which obviously is a trailing indicator because the places that are closing this month in this most recent data actually went under contract probably at least 4 weeks, most likely 2 months ago. So another story here, is it going to reflect nationwide housing stats where inventory is rising, days on market is rising, new listings are coming out? Is that going to have any effect on the price? All right, let's check out Union City real quick. So single family listings here, and we have 2025 back on the right, so keep that in mind. A lot of negative stats here. Number of contracts signed, active listings, everything down in terms of volume. The median price up 23%, or just over 23% though. So those couple places that were on the market that actually closed this past month have been obviously quite a bit more than this time last year. The product itself is a higher quality that's coming out, that's closing in the single family market. A lot of these are renovated or new compared to last year. And also there has been some steady appreciation in Union City as buyers that are leaving the city or leaving close by areas are looking for more value. And close by, if they've been considering the Heights or Jersey City, those taxes have been coming up quite a bit over the past few years. And so Union City, where it had long time been considered the place with the highest taxes, really is not that bad when you compare it to especially Jersey City, where you're getting kind of similar pricing, especially in the Heights for those single family single family houses. So that's why we've been seeing an increase in average sale price up there. In the condo market, not a lot of huge change except for this one. Active listings going up 74%, or nearly 74%. So even though the prices have remained sticky, once again, we're going to see over the next couple of months how that increase in inventory is going to have effect on the prices in the condo market. Now, I want to go over Weehawken just because it's so close, but this is a market that has just always been, the stats are always just been a product of the low inventory there. It just not a lot comes on, not a lot trades, and when it does, it's usually for a pretty good price. So single family, just year to date, not a lot of action, not a lot coming on, and that's okay though, because the sales volume is up quite a bit. Obviously, that number gets really inflated, or seems very extreme because we're really comparing 8 sales compared to 4 last year, but it is what it is, right? Again, the product itself is probably a lot more high quality, even though a lot of stuff around there, the stats around that haven't changed that much. In the condo market, we have no change in the number of contracts signed, very little change in the number of listings, but the sales volume and the sale price still jumping up. And that has a lot to do with, again, the product. The things that are trading in Weehawken that come on the market the most and sell the most are usually down off of the cliff near the water. Some of the newer, more expensive condos there right on the water, which are naturally going to trade for a higher price. Now, one last town I want to go over. Technically, this is Bergen County and not Hudson County, but super adjacent, very much of a market crossover, is Edgewater, because out of all of these that I've mentioned so far, this is the one that's really reflecting the nationwide stats the most, especially in the condo market. So I'm going to kind of ignore the single family market here for now, for the same reasons as the other ones. It's just not a lot trading there. What I'm seeing here that is really interesting is this column over here on the right. So number of contracts signed down 25%, active listings up nearly 40%. The sales volume, which is the total price, and average sale price down a little over 17%. So this is a prime example of what we might be seeing in some of these other places that we just went over. This is already having that effect, and we're seeing it in the market here where inventory is rising and it is affecting sale prices. A lot of buyers having a lot more to choose from up here. So if you're in the market for Edgewater, it's got a lot to offer. Edgewater is quiet. As long as you have a car, you can get around. There's tons of things to do. Everything is accessible. You can commute to the city very easily. Some of my favorite supermarkets are up there, especially if you like cooking with international ingredients, shall we say. And it just keeps building. I was just up there yesterday and saw 2 new buildings that had just started ground up development not more than 60 days ago, and now they're already over 6 stories. So prime spot for new development. I think the added inventory is still going to have an effect on price, but I mean, hey, if you're a buyer, that's great news, right? So Edgewater might be a place to check out if you haven't been considering it already. So that's it for the super local market stats. I just want to go over 2 things that I'm seeing in these nationwide stats real quick. So just keep in mind real quick that single family for these nationwide stats includes anything where one family lives in a dwelling. So that lumps together condos, co-ops, like a single family brownstone in Hoboken or downtown Jersey City would qualify as a single family, as well as your suburban house with a yard or a farm. So those are all together in the stats. This is obviously we're following a trend here that you can see that is carries over from last year. In the beginning of July, we see pending home sales. So that's contracts signed on listings. So things going off the market, but before they close, taking a big dip in the beginning of July. But interestingly enough, over the past week or so, we've seen quite a big increase in that. And I've actually been reading some other stats across the news that mortgage applications have increased quite a bit. And obviously it's getting reflected here in these nationwide stats. So that's an interesting difference a little bit in some of the cities that we were just talking about hyper locally, where we're seeing less things go under contract. Here nationwide. It's different, right? That's why you have to get super specific and hyper local with your stats for them to really make sense for like your home buying or home selling journey. So I just wanted to point that out. And we have one more. Median price of those pending home sales actually decreasing. So this is an interesting stat that is kind of the reverse of what we saw before. So even though there's been an increase in absorption, so a lot of things going under contract nationally, the median sale price of those things had to adjust. So like the asking price of those properties that went under contract actually dipped over the last week. I mean, we still are above the last 3 years, and that's kind of healthy, right? You kind of expect with inflation in general nationwide, that also carries over into home price and home value appreciation going up a percentage every single year. So it is healthy to see that home prices are kind of staying in line with inflation. So it's good to see blue above all of these. But this is, it's an interesting dip because between, let's say, April and midway through July, we saw those home prices for pending home sales staying really steady, where they were kind of rocky in those other years. But over the past week, they've really taken a dip. So it will be, again, interesting to see how this all shakes out next month, and especially over the progression of Q3. So as always, I am happy to have you here on News for Nerds. We're going to take a close look on all of these and track them closely to see how all of these interesting stats and changes are going to affect the market. And thanks again. Always a pleasure having you join me here. If you have any questions, comments, want me to cover anything specifically, let me know. I welcome the input. But yeah, stay cool out there, everybody. Wear your sunscreen. Have some awesome barbecue for me. And I will see you next time right here on News for Nerds. Bye now.